Welcome to episode 6 of our Road to 2200 Rapid series. Let's jump straight into our first game. We have the white pieces, we are exactly 2000 rated, and let's start off with the move C4. Our opponent is 1982 rated, and they decide to play this move E5, where we will now continue with this lovely move Knight C3, as the theory goes, and now we'll play Knight F3. There are some continuations here, Knight C6 being the most common, and from here we can continue with the move E3, and if they play a move such as Bishop B4, we will go Queen C2, but Bishop E7 is a bit more sort of timid and a bit more passive, so from here we can have a few options. First of all, we could strike in the center with D4 immediately, or instead we could try and go Queen C2 as well. I think what I'm going to opt for is, first of all, I'm going to play this move Queen C2, just to maybe get my queen up on this sort of side of the board, and maybe I can go for D4 now, but maybe it would have been better supported by the queen. But maybe I can also try and go for a G3, Bishop G2, and castle idea as well. Both look pretty interesting, and so let's see what we want to do here. If I push D4 and they decide to push, then I think, well, they can't do that because I'll just take with my queen, which is the good thing. Well, obviously with the knight and then the queen. So if I go D4, I don't see too much issue. If they want to capture back, that's perfectly fine. I'll either capture back with my knight or with my pawn. Either way is fine. And Bishop D3 can happen soon enough, and we can get our king castled. But maybe, if we want to, we can go for something like B3 and Bishop B2 in the future, depending on what the position allows. But from here, everything looks relatively simple. And yeah, we just need to wait and see what our opponent decides to play. The nice thing about this move Queen C2 is this move E4 isn't actually possible, because we'll just simply win a pawn in the center of the board. And this is why I kind of like this move Queen C2 as well, because now Knight G5, obviously it isn't checkmate because it's supported by the knight. However, there can be moves such as Bishop D3, which not only set up potential things on H7, but also we can castle our king if need be as well. For example, if they decide to capture back, and we capture here, and we capture back here, then if they play moves such as Rook E8, setting some things up, well, that's fine, we can just castle our king. Now, Knight B4 is actually quite a nice move, which I didn't fully think of, but that's fine. We'll simply hop over to D2. If they want to trade, so be it. Perfectly fine by us. Obviously, a knight for a bishop technically isn't too good for us, but then again, they're both worth 3 points, and they have their benefits and their cons as well, both the knights and the bishops. So this move G6, I feel like, isn't the best move, because this pawn on E5 I do think is quite weak. Reason being, if we just take, the only way they can actually capture back is with their D-pawn. And from there, we have two options. We can either take with the knight and then recapture with the knight on D3, or we can take the queen first, they capture back, and then we capture the pawn on E5. Either way looks fine, but I think the second way looks fine, because if we were to do this, then Rook D8 could be annoying on our knight. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to capture on E5, because I do think we're just winning a pawn here, which is good. I mean, obviously. But then again, if I was to capture here, they capture, I capture, Rook D8, then I can just go to F4, which does look pretty nice as well. So I'm not going to rule that out, but let's say we go here, and they decide to just move their queen somewhere, but they could just play a move, I mean, here, Rook E8, I mean, I can just trade, and we'll be fine. I am going to take on E5, so we've won a pawn here, which is nice. But now we just, yeah, I mean, we're up a pawn. We've won the E pawn. We have a few options. We can simply just drop back to F3 if we want. In the future, though, there are some traps. Like, let's say we were to castle in the future, they could sack on H2 and then win our queen with that kind of discovered attack. So we do obviously need to be wary of certain things, but we'll just drop back to F3. Kind of the only move there. Unless we wanted to play the move F4, actually. But then again, F4 in this position, they can trade, and then our pawn structure is kind of ruined. So I'd rather not go for that. A6 now. Potentially maybe trying to go for B5, or maybe not. Maybe just trying to gain a little bit of space on this side of the board. Actually also stopping our knight from coming to B5. So a nice move from our opponent. Cannot castle into this, because that would be tragic. Instead, what I think I should do, maybe I could play moves such as knight D5, centralizing my knight. Or I can go for something like B3, Bishop B2. That doesn't look too bad either. Although B3, do they have Bishop here? Maybe, I mean, could go Bishop D2 as well. If I was to do that, then I could also castle long, in theory. But probably not the best idea. I do gonna have to come up with a move, because if I go b3, bishop b4, I trade, and then I go bishop here. Then do they have knight e4, adding more pressure, rook c1. Maybe that's not something I want to get too involved with. But if I go b3, bishop b4, and instead I just go like queen c2, then rook e8, bishop here, knight here, rook c1, and then I'm always free to castle my king. So that's what I'm going to go for. I'm just trying to avoid any immediate tactics or anything like that. They're playing relatively quickly, which is clever from them, because they're immediately kind of putting the pressure on us to play quickly. So I'm going to follow up with this move, bishop b2. Certainly looks decent. Now I also have castling long options, which is really nice, because I imagine that they might try and put a bishop on b7. What's the point of that? Just trying to think. Maybe they'll try and go something like this. I'm not sure. Anyways, I'm just going to castle my king. Another thing is, now we've got this nice little rook on the d file, which is very, very nice. We're castling our king, getting it slightly out of the center. Queen d5 could be a nice move, immediately hitting this. Queen d5, they might need to, like, I don't know. Although I don't really know what it does, though. I'm trying to make moves that do things. So I was to go maybe knight d5, but then again, all it does is open up this. I need to come up with a way of kind of getting into the position. I was to go h4 and h5, then that could also be an option, but I kind of just want to, I need to get in. h7 is weak, and maybe d5 could help us in getting into the position as well. Although queen d5 could also be nice, because first I'm going to start off with h4, then I can always go queen d5 to also support the move h5. And then, if they was like take with their knight, maybe there's some sacking possibilities of some sort, bringing the rook across and maybe getting some sort of a mate, but we'll see. h4. Reason I'm trying to go for h4, by the way, is because I want to play this move h5, try and kind of crack open this kingside position of blacks, and hopefully try and get in somehow, because we do also have a very, very strong bishop here as well, which is very, very nice. So just a quick reminder, we've come out of the English opening with e5 as the response, and we've kind of gone into a bishop e7 with the 4 knights, and very, very simple stuff, well, not too simple, but the point is, we've gone into the position. They play h5 immediately, well, not immediately, but relatively soon, so now, maybe if I go knight e5, they can't take, because then I would take this, then take, obviously. But if I was to go knight e5, attacking this, what does it do? If I go g4, that doesn't really work. I've got to play quickly here. If I go queen d5, they go like rook b8. Then I go knight g5. I suppose it also stops bishop e6. And maybe add some pressure here. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try and bring my queen forward. I'm going to try and be confident with my nice queen here. Well, if they do go rook b8... Oh, wait, they have bishop e6 immediately, because then it defends. I should have seen that before, in fairness. That was slightly poor from me. But we will obviously continue. We're going to play... If we go here, do they have c5? No, because I take. So I'm going to drop back to d4. And my idea, I think, is to try and bring my knight to e4. Reason being, it stops this bishop from coming here. I was trying to open up this, which, by the way, on the last move, would have threatened mate. Also, it now attacks f6 as well, which is really nice. And let's see what we want to do from here. So if I just take, and they go, like, here, then what do I do? Then I go here, right? Because if I take and they go here... Ah, wait. If I go here... The discovered check, but they take my queen, take, they go back here, and then we're losing. So, instead, I suppose I should... I mean, take here... That's not really what I want. I'll just go queen c2. Bishop e5 is obviously not a possibility, because I'll just take the queen. It is certainly a very interesting position. Never forget this move, knight g5. knight g5 could be an option because it obviously hits the bishop, threatens a fork. They cannot capture because we will give mate on g7, and now h7 would be the preferred route to the king. If I take here, maybe if I go g4 here, h5 doesn't quite open up stuff how I want it to. Difficult chess, isn't it? It's a difficult game. Here, I go queen h8 here, then I take with my knight, then they go here, and there's nothing, which is tragic. I could always capture here though. In fairness, I have just realized knight takes f6. If they move their king somewhere here, then I have all sorts of discovered checks. Okay, so we just immediately win the exchange there, which is nice. We're now up 4 points of material. Hopefully I'm not blundering anything. If I just drop back to b2, I don't think I'm blundering anything. And there we go. We're now all of a sudden up 4 points of material. I'm glad I spent the time to try and figure that one out, because it was probably quite an easy one to miss there, because obviously we were thinking about that bishop takes f6 move. Sorry, that knight f6 check move on the previous move. But then again, I'm glad that we took the time to find that out. Although now I do kind of need to hurry up a bit. So I've only got 1 minute 54. I'm going to play knight g5, hitting the bishop, stopping this knight from coming to e4. Well, we are up 4 points, which is always helpful. I've got to find, got to think of a way to get through here. If I go here and here, that can't be too bad, can it? Or if I go e4, f4, e5, rook d1, rook e1, sorry. Surely we can't go wrong. This is a ridiculously strong outpost. I go rook e1 now, f4 here as well. Very, very nice. I always have the option of trying to come here as well. We'll go f4, we'll go e5. We'll kick this knight out somewhere, and then we'll pile the pressure onto this bishop and to have lots of fun like that. Now I'm going to go e5. Again, I am playing quickly because, of course, we have like a sixth of our opponent's time, which is obviously not ideal. But we will now go rook d7. They might escape here. But then again, I'll just give some sort of a check. Or I'll just push. Either way, we'll just bring the pawn up the board. And we do win the game. So that is absolutely beautiful. We're now up 10 rating points. And now at 2010 rating. On to the next game we go. And a very, very beautiful game there. So that was a nice win. Now to 2010 rating points. And let's play our second game of the video. So e4 is on the board. We're, of course, going to respond with the Alekhine's defense. A beautiful opening. Our opponent is 1988 rated. So a strong player. And we're now going to push our pawn into the e5 square. Bishop c5 looks like a reasonable move here, activating our bishop. We'll probably castle our king at some point, but in the meantime, I'm going to go... Will I go c6 and d5? Will I go... I'm going to go knight e6. It defends our pawn on e5, being nice and simple and principled here with our kind of pieces. d6 as well looks relatively normal. If you want to go here, that's fine, but they don't. Instead, I mean, this looks like a very, very, very generic chess game. So I'm just going to castle my king. It's going to be weird to try and find kind of ways to break through this position. Maybe a5 could be an option to stop b4 ideas, which is, but then again, I don't want, but then the knight can always come here. I'm going to go a6 instead, because if b4, I can just drop back to a7, and then anyway, a6 always stops the knight from coming to b4 anyway, b5 anyway, so that seems fine. By the way, if you are enjoying the video so far, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps the channel a ton, and we're very, very close to 1,000 subscribers, so that would mean a lot. And yeah, also check out the Discord server and the Twitch streams as well. Links are in the description, and our opponent decides to play the move bishop e3. So bishop e3 is on the board. So if we capture, yes, we kind of ruin their pawn structure a little bit, but their rook does also open up, and I do not want that. But then again, what else am I going to do? If I go here... Actually, I could just go knight d4. If that happens if they capture with this, then I have a fork, which they probably won't capture back with. If I capture here, if I capture back with the pawn, then their knight is going to go... I mean, it could go anywhere, couldn't it? It could go here, then I take. Then I suppose we'll probably play... I am going to go for this. It looks, I mean, obviously putting the knight in the center can never be a bad option. Let's say there to play something like, I don't know, rook here. Okay, so I'm going to probably capture back with the pawn. Reason being, it immediately hits the knight, whereas the bishop is not an immediate threat. So now their knight needs to go somewhere, and now it's gone all the way back to their starting square. Now their rook is kind of trapped. which is very nice for us, except so is our bishop. It's not really doing too much, but rook e8 looks like a reasonable move. I kind of want to get my queen in the game, because if I can get my queen in the game and my opponent can't, then it's as if I'm just up 9 points of material because my queen's being used and theirs isn't. Although I don't really see where I can move my queen for the moment. Although c6 does look intriguing, because I might have this to try and hit this side of the board. But then again, c6, b4, bishop a7, maybe just not what I want to do. Instead, maybe like bishop d6, and then this could also be an option. Maybe d5. No. Don't know. I'm gonna go for. Maybe I'd go b5. b5 looks interesting. I'm gonna go for b5. I'm gonna fianchetto my bishop to this side of the board onto b7. And I'm going to have a nice bishop, and I'm also going to have a slightly less nice bishop. But then again, this bishop could always perhaps reroute somewhere. Maybe not, actually, but we'll see. Bishop b7 looks decent. Bishop b7. I'm going to do it. Their knight can't really go anywhere. I mean, if he wants to go here, that's fine. Either way. If you want to capture, I'm probably happy if you want to capture. Maybe not, because then e5 becomes a possibility, actually. That's why I also played a6 earlier, was now I can drop back wherever I wish. So, bishop a7 certainly looks reasonable, which is what I'm going to proceed with. However, this could also be quite annoying, because that just wins a pawn if they capture with their knight. But then again, maybe we can come up with some things to combat that. If they capture with their b knight, which is fine. Let's have a little bit of a think. I do want to get my queen in the game somehow at some point. That would certainly help. What's this knight doing at the moment? The knight is quite annoying. If I was to trade, then I'm kind of getting rid of what would now be two really decent bishops. So maybe I go c5, they drop back, then I mean, pushing again just lets them come back again. So this is going to be an interesting one. I need to connect my rooks. I think connecting my rooks would help, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go queen d7. I'm going to try and bring this over here. It doesn't look like too much of a positive position at the moment, but we will hopefully work on it. In the meantime, we can always take a sip of water. This was a move I was thinking of. Knight f5. But then again, what's it actually doing? Like, maybe it's setting up some potential things over here. Maybe queen d2 and this could also be a threat. But, if I was to go knight here, they go here, and I go... If I was to just go g6, what are they going to do? I mean, I go here, there... Well, g6, if they want to come here, then their knight almost gets trapped. Almost gets trapped is the key word. I could potentially maybe try and sacrifice here, because then the knight's got no defender, also getting some things here, but doesn't look all too well for the moment. I could go knight g4, but then queen d2. It's not really... I don't like that idea. To say it that way, I suppose. If I was to go, maybe rook e8. Maybe this rook instead, because this always gives me breathing space. If I was to go with this rook, then after something like queen d2, queen g5, then my king can't really go anywhere. But in the meantime, yeah, queen d2 is precisely what we expected. Reason being that they're trying to get their queen into position, because otherwise this diagonal is completely blocked. H6 kind of does the job here for us. I think it stops potential things. Although, having said that, there could be some ideas, but I don't think they work. Although we only have 4 minutes 58 seconds now, our opponent has 8 minutes 10. Will certainly be interesting to see how this goes. We're only 15 moves in, because obviously I am spending a little bit of time like explaining my thoughts and whatnot. Some of them might be brilliant, some of them might be blunders, some of them might be misses, some of them might be mistakes, everything of the sort. But yeah, just explaining my moves. Sometimes we go long on time. Yeah, but I think we'll just try and okay. We'll just try and keep on obviously playing moves relatively quickly. I'm just gonna take it. It looks interesting. Right, now, if I was to go here, there to go here, there is a very dangerous threat. So, I need this knight here to cover h7. How can I keep this knight here? Well, I can play, I mean, if I was to go rook rook e6, queen here, I move along, there is no threat. Unless they go here, and but then I go here. Or I could just do it with my queen and just be nice. But then again, no, this looks decent. We just, no, never mind. That's annoying. That looks like a bit of an annoying move, actually, to deal with. How am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? Because, I might have made a mistake. Although, having said that, there is no mate. If I go knight here, if they take, I take their queen. If they take, I take their queen. If I go knight here, they give me a check. I move along. That's the difference, though, isn't it? They can then take here. Yeah, that doesn't work. I was trying to think of a way in which maybe I could force them into maybe having to lose a piece, but this is very, very interesting. If I... Sometimes... Maybe I sack, check here, takes... Here, take, here... Attacking the queen. I'm just gonna... You know what? I'm just gonna sack on e4. See what happens. It certainly looks interesting. There is no mate, at least. And by the way, if you are wondering if I'm blundering this, well, my bishop is always protecting. So that's the good thing about this. Okay, so they decide to capture there, which is probably a good move. If I go here, they move here. Then I go check. They take. I don't know, I'm just trying to come up with certain ideas that could perhaps win me the game, either through confusion or just through actual chess win, kind of. The position doesn't look too brilliant at the moment, but things can happen. I suppose I'm gonna take with my queen. It's not ideal. I am gonna be down 4 points of material if they decide to capture here, which they do. Take. Now let's see. Well, sorry, no, we're only down, well, we are down 3 points, but if we can maybe activate our rook and make good use of these files, then with these strong bishops, and anything is possible. So, also, these, they do have a massive pawn majority, though, it doesn't look great, but, hop my king over to this square, bring my rook here, see what I can do, and kind of go from there. I only have 2 minutes, though, which is interesting, but let's just see what happens. Obviously, if it gets to too difficult a position, I will, of course, resign, but I don't think it's completely resign-worthy at the moment. Player at g8. Obviously, threatening this, which is nice, which should be mate in theory, but yeah. Let's, now we've got to think of another idea to get in. Perhaps we want to... It is difficult here, because we don't really have any useful pieces. Well, we do, these two and this rook, but we compared to our opponent's material, it is difficult. I'm going to try and do some sort of a rook lift and maybe come up with ideas. I'm now going to jump here with our rook. Obviously, they can't go f4 because of this bishop doing a pretty decent job, which is very nice, and so is this bishop. So we do need a round of applause for those two bishops, but, I mean... If they just play king h2, then, I mean, what do I have? King h2, I don't really have anything. That's the problem. But they don't play king h2. Instead now, One thing I have realized is now there's a weakness on this square because takes here you can't take back, which I could potentially use to my advantage. If I just drop back to b7, I don't see how they're ever gonna kind of like get rid of these two bishops. But then again, I don't ever see how I'm gonna actually get into the position either. With this annoying pawn on h4. Maybe I've got to like root round here. But yeah, it is. Yeah, there's that now, which is not great. If I attack the bishop, then they go here. That's nasty. That's fine. Okay, well, we haven't got long. That's for sure. If I trade rooks, I lose, don't I? Anyway, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to play with the time that I have and hope that perhaps I can maybe find some sort of obscure fork or skewer that can maybe win me the game somehow and just activate my king. I'm not going to resign because I don't think resigning is the right thing to do. By the way, if you'd like to skip to the next game, feel free. Just look in the timestamps and there will be game 3 listed right there. But yeah, let's see what we want to do here. If we go king g7, we can always go king f6. I mean, it doesn't look great, but we're always going to give it a go. I need this bishop to, like, do something. If I bring my king here, or maybe I need to somehow... I'm going to bring my king here. f4 is still never a possibility, which is very nice. Maybe we can somehow hold out for a draw. I'm going to try and come around here. But then my only issue with this is that after the take, this pawn is running away. Because there's no way in which this bishop can stop it. Which sounds incredible, but it is true. I'll go bishop here. Which is actually decent now because I can always route it back here if I need to stop anything. Or here, by the way. Okay, so now they're coming around the back to try and win our pawn, of course. We're now going to jump to a... Oh, wait, we've only got 11 seconds. I've just realized that's probably not great. c5. I'm just going to try and play quickly now. Rook d1 could be an option. Against rook d1, though, I'll probably just play this. Wait, I didn't see that. Probably should have just played c6, but if you want to take, I'll take. I'm going to take. Wait, but then it's a runaway pawn, isn't it? As we said earlier. Please push. It'd be funny. Because then I have a fork. But I doubt they'll miss it. Oh, they sacked their rook for the memes. That's unfortunate. Let's see what we can do here. Jump out the way. They'll check. Resign. We lose the game. And now down to 1999 rating. And let's jump into our next game of the video. So we've got the white pieces just as we did in the first game. The first game I played c4. I'm going to play e4 now. And let's see what we want to do. So e5, we'll go for a Vienna. Why not? A Vienna. Will we have a Vienna gambit? Oh, d6. Okay. I mean, f4 could be an option. I'm just going to play bishop c4. d6 is one of the more boring kind of options against the Vienna, but certainly solid. Now c5, I feel like could be some sort of weaknesses to exploit on this side of the board. If I was to go f4, if they want to give me a check, I'll just go here. I mean, next move will definitely be something like knight f3. Reason being, just stop any queen h4 ideas. And also, we're ready to castle when we want, which is always nice, which we will do. And now we have certain ideas. If I was to go here, they take my queen, bishop takes f7, here, and that is mate. However, they can, in theory, just capture here. So I am risking it. It is a risk going for this. If they capture here, do I have anything? I mean, obviously, I'm looking, because I sack. They take with their king, rook f4. They go back. I don't think it quite works, but this does look cool. If I go knight g5, they take bishop here, here, here. Bishop here. No, it doesn't quite work. I'm trying to look for some cool checkmates, because certainly certainly an idea, because obviously here they could just take with the knight, and the point is it also defends this, which is obviously not good for us. So instead, I mean, d4 actually could be an option, or I just go h3. There's bishop here, which is irritating. Could just go queen e1 as well. That could always be an option, which I probably might go for. If I just go d4 though, I know, but d4 they take, I can't take. That's the annoying thing here. Or I could actually... Wait, no, I've just completely... Wait, no. Because this... They take... Again, it doesn't quite do what I want it to do. So, I'm just going to play d3. After all that, I'm going to play the move d3. So now they play knight here. That's fine. Although now, this does become an option. Now this does become an option. You take my queen, check, here, mate. Am I blundering anything? This is very important. This is like the turning point in the whole game is this. Although they could give some sort of a check here. In which case, I capture with my knight, they capture here. Yeah, but then even then, we're just equal on material anyway. So, 95, sacrificing the queen to try and go for this checkmate right here, which is an absolutely beautiful one because it cuts off everything. I hope I'm not making any mistakes here. If they just capture on e5, well, I'm going to capture on g4. After which, I mean, they can try and capture on c2, but I feel like it looks like too strong a position to deal with for black. But then again, they could just... Maybe 92 check might work. Because then if I obviously go here, then they have this discovered check. So 92, probably going to have to take with this. And then they'll probably take my knight. In which case, then we just continue playing a game of chess. But let's see. Let's see what our opponent decides to do. Because 95 is a very, very, very beautiful queen sacrifice. Obviously, black doesn't have to take it, but it always allows certain cool ideas on this f7 square. And also, there's certain forks as well. If some things aren't possible, there are others as well. So, you know, yeah, 92. Okay, yeah, so our opponent found what I think is probably the best move. Although, what happens if I go here? What happens if I go here? If I go here, do they have any discovered checks? I don't think so. If they capture, bishop takes f7. King here. Oops. Queen g4. Then they take my knight. So I'm just going to take on e2 as we calculated earlier. Then I'll probably just... Could maybe try and sack, but doesn't work at the moment, that's for sure. Maybe bishop b5, actually, because then if they want to drop back their bishop to d7, then I'm free to move this knight, because then there's no pin. So I am going to go bishop b5, because obviously they can't block with their queen, and if they want to move their king, then I suppose that's a little win for us. So, okay, that's what's happened now. So, could perhaps go knight c3, actually. Knight c3, they capture, we capture back. Then queen d7, a5, a6, drop back to c3. Can always jump to d5 in the future as well. Or if I take knight c3 as well, could always be nice. Although it kind of transposes into the same position, I think. So we'll go knight c3. This is kind of strong, I feel like, for our opponent. So I am going to try and hopefully find a way to break it down. This e5 pawn could be weak. I say could be weak. We'll go... I think we'll go b3, bishop b2, maybe try and target this. Certainly. Although then there's queen d4, which I'm not too big a fan of. But then maybe we go knight d5. Reason being now, before they play the move knight f6, because then c4 just completely solidifies the knight in the center of the board, which is a very, very, very strong outpost, by the way, for our knight, which is very, very nice. Which is what I'm going to do, by the way. But I do suspect a little bit of a pawn storm arriving on this side of the board, but, you know, we will hopefully deal with it, and we will continue our lovely game of chess. So, I'm always looking for some sort of sacrifice because they're fun, but F3, what does it do? We take, they take, we take, and like, what are you gonna do? Now knight F6 isn't even possible because there's no G pawn ready to defend. Knight A6 is possible though. So wait, if I play G3 though, they capture, we capture, that's fine. G3, F3, that's also fine. Because then our bishop just covers this whole thing as well. So I'm going to go G3. Because if you want to trade, then please do. If you want to push, then be my guest. And yeah, I mean, F3 will be fine. Obviously, this is technically a passed pawn, but for the moment, I'm not too worried, although that could come back to bite us, but we will see, of course. This F6 is not possible due to this, which is very, very nice. This, they have rook here, to which I respond with... What do I respond with? What do I respond with? After this, I respond with knight here. Yes, I do. Forking these two, and then you're kind of forced to trade, and then there's this. Ah, no, but then your rook can always come to G8. Ah, okay. That's good that we calculated it, although I do need to hurry up, like, very hurry up. So let's do that. If I go... There's nothing to say I can't play bishop G5 anyway. Why not? Let's do it. Also, it could help potentially defend our pawn in the future, which is very important. Oh yeah, I also forgot about the lovely move, bishop E7, which I completely overlooked. I suppose I'll just capture it, why not? And obviously, if I was to play something like Queen D2, then F6 would have just kicked our bishop out. I mean, wouldn't have gained anything from it. So, if you take me the queen, then I can bring my queen to A4 and perhaps start causing some issues. If you take with your knight, I might just capture, trade, and then go queen A. Although that doesn't really... It's an interesting one. B4? Maybe not right now. Rook B1. Maybe not. Queen C2. Queen C2 doesn't look too bad. That's for sure. Queen C2 followed up by something like this and then B4. If you want to trade, feel free. Then I'll probably... Actually, okay, so they don't trade. Now, this could be very dangerous, which it probably is. B4 still looks quite interesting, which I am going to go for. I only have 2 minutes 56 seconds left, so obviously I do need to be somewhat careful with how much time I'm spending. But perhaps if you take on B4, I'll probably capture back with my knight. Probably. Although I might not. This does look absolutely terrifying, to be honest with you. Rook F2. Yeah, it looks horrifying. The whole thing just looks awful. Yeah, oh god, it looks bad, doesn't it? So they're just saying take. They're basically just saying take me. Which I go here, they go queen e6. Then jeez. I think I underestimated this pawn storm. If I take, you take. Oh, it's dangerous. I need to play a move. If I capture, takes. Rook h7. Rook f2 doesn't even work. Well, it does, actually. Ah, no, it doesn't quite work. Here. Rook h7. Is this serious? I'm just gonna take it. Let's just do it. I'm taking it. Certainly interesting. Massive pawn storm attacks. That is for sure. From our opponent. Let's see. If we catch on b5, maybe we go rook f2 now to try and stop certain ideas. Which is probably what I will try and do. Although, but then they just have g3, which is annoying. I don't know what to do. They're just going to play rook h8, aren't they? I think it's time to trade and get my queen into that side of the board. Although after this, they just have this, which doesn't look great either. Yeah, I don't know. I've got to try and just stay afloat here. And they always have that annoying g3 move as well, which really is not looking great. I'm going to go here, maybe come here in the future. If they go rook h8, then I'm kind of baffled as to what to do. Because if I go here, g3, take, that's mate. Right? So here, here. Although, having said that, here I can just hide in the wait, I need to hurry up. I'm going to go rook f2. I only have 22 seconds. Time is really becoming a bit of an annoying factor here as well. That's for sure. Here, here. If they take with the rook, then it's interesting. I mean, then I don't know what to say. If they take with the rook, then I suppose I've got to go here. You give me a check. If you want to go here, well, if you want to trade, please do, because at the moment, oh, okay, well, that's unfortunate, and unlucky there, and I think we'll play one more game. That is quite unfortunate that we lost that game in the Vienna, but seeing as we lost in the Vienna once, I don't see the harm in trying it again. But our opponent decides to play the move e6. We're playing as a 2003 rated player, so I'm going to go for b3. This is something which I studied a while ago. So I hope I remember the move, basically, the moves. So yeah, let's just see what happens. The idea is to go for bishop b2, knight c3, of course, and see how we can do. And if they decide to try and go for f5, the idea is in the future to go for the move g4, which does look crazy. I know it looks crazy, but the idea is to go queen e2, long castle, and g4, which is something I remember g4 to dislodge this pawn, I suppose you could say. Try and get some sort of an attack here, but long castling looks decent now. Obviously, we're down a pawn, but this is just part of it. F3 could also perhaps be an option in the future. G4 as well. Let's see. Bishop e6. What do we want to do? Bishop e6. Maybe we go f3. If we go f3, f4. Sorry, bishop d6 is what I meant to say. If I go queen b5, nope. Maybe d3, 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 d3. d3 takes. I take with the rook. Then they castle. Maybe this rook can come to this side of the board and have some fun. Maybe that could be an option. Maybe we go f3. I'm going to go for f3. Reason being, if they take, yes, we are permanently going to be down a pawn, but we do get some sort of development, which is always nice. And if they want a castle, then bring it on, I suppose. So just going to have some awesome stuff here. Maybe we want to. I've got to try and open this up somehow. I've got to do this well. Queen c4, trying to maybe get in like this somehow. Not quite working. Maybe try and transfer my queen over here. Maybe go g3, bishop g2. Could also be possible, but then again, I don't think that's quite the right plan. Maybe I go knight e5. Maybe knight here. Nope. Trying to think of candidate moves. D4. D4 looks decent. Gaining some central control. Maybe knight e5 in the future. It does kind of block this bishop for the moment, but we'll see. Also, another thing which I do need to bear in mind is how slowly I have been playing in this video so far. Because I've obviously been looking at quite a lot of moves, trying to be extra extravagant with all the moves. Well, not extra extravagant, but just looking at a lot of options. So, let's see. let's see what we want to do here. D4, gonna try and go for 95 in the future. Pretty simple idea is this, really. If they move back, then we're kind of, we've got the initiative, as we say in chess. So let's just see. Queen e7, probably a good move from our opponent. We maybe knight d5. No, that doesn't work. 95, take. 97, then our bishop is permanently blocked. I'd rather not do that. If I was to go g4. G4, I really can't get my head off this move g4. It does look cool, but I just don't think it's the right move at the moment. If I want to get my bishop here, probably. That's probably where I want to get my bishop. I say probably, I think I mean definitely. But I also want to get rid of this bishop. If I go knight b5, I'm going to try and get rid of this bishop. And then, hopefully, be able to bring my queen over here. And set some things up, maybe go h4 as well. I'm happy to take this, because this knight wasn't really doing much for me at the end of the day. So, if I was to go here, then not really. If I go knight b5, could be an option. Followed up by, I don't know, something like rook e1, knight b5, rook e1, knight b5, h6, though, that's not really, maybe then this. Take. Knight g4, that's the issue, because then I can't come over here because it's blocked. That's the only problem with that thing. If I was to go the queen here, I really want to get this over here. But e5 is always going to be an annoying option. However, then this is b5. You can't really win here. If I go, maybe this is the right plan. I can't bring myself to think that it is, though. That's the thing. h3, but then queen f2, there's knight g4. I mean, it's just a bit annoying, isn't it? So maybe I go h3. No, but I don't want to play h3. This is the thing. It's really interesting and kind of complicated. So I'm actually going to play this move rook e1. I'm going to try and get some things along here, which might look a bit weird, but then again, maybe knight g5. Now things might become a bit more open. I don't really know what I mean by that, but the point is d5. I'm just trying to e5. If I was to go queen c4, then we stop this move because of the pin. If I was to go d5, e5, then again, it's just not really working for us. If I go h3, if I go h3 and g4, you know what? I'm gonna go for h3 and g4. I'm gonna completely open this up and see what I can do with these pieces here, because I do feel like, I mean, this queen can always come to g2 as well. By the way, I feel like I don't know. I mean, they are gonna try and come to c6, which is probably a good idea, but I know this obviously loses a pawn, but okay, very nice move from our opponent, just shutting the position down, completely rebutting what we wanted to do, which is fair enough. Very nice move. If I'm to go for, but then again, now if I was to go g5, they move their knight, I don't know, to d5. G6, it just doesn't really do much. Although, if I was to go queen here, this could be vulnerable. I'm going to go h4 because it also stops g5, which could be annoying, because then if I was to play something else, then maybe h4 wouldn't be possible in the future, but let's just see what we want to do. Knight d5, okay, we only have 4 minutes now. Wow, okay, we are getting low on time, as usual. If we go queen e4, bishop c6, knight g5, g6, we take, I suppose. They move their knight somewhere. I mean, it's infinite, this game. Maybe we go c4, but then they go here, which is annoying. So maybe we go knight g5 straight away. Is that normal? No, I'm gonna go queen d4. I'm gonna bring my queen forward. Sorry, to e4. Bishop c6. I probably think is coming. Bishop c6. Ah, bishop d3. But that does the same thing as knight g5. Bishop d3. Then, is there any immediate way in which black can win the game? Knight f6. Stops mate, attacks our queen, but then we just go here. Defending our knight as well. Bishop c6, bishop d3, g6, h5. Difficult. It is difficult. Maybe... But I think knight g5 looks a bit better. Because it also puts pressure on e6, which, by the way, once e6 goes, this knight is hanging. But then after bishop c6, then it's not. Although, maybe bishop c6, we have c4. They move somewhere. Let's say they were to go here, then we might have d5. But the idea then is, after c4, after bishop c6, c4, then they have this. Attacking on our queen and also doing this. But they play knight c6 instead, which I think is maybe slightly better for us. I think. I mean, I might just be wrong, but my idea here now is... I don't know, if I go bishop d3, my idea is to go for bishop d3, they play g6, right? Then I go c4, they're probably going to go to f6, and then I can pick up this pawn, and then we go from there. So now I play c4. I'm gonna sort of churn out these moves now, because I've got to play quickly. So yeah, let's just see what happens here, and hopefully, yep. Okay, so this is what we kind of predicted / calculated. Now we go here. Now maybe h5. h5 looks like a beautiful move. If you take, then I mean, I could just sack. I mean, I could just open everything up. Literally everything. Like, I could do. I could do that. d5. I want to get my queen out of this kind of firing. That's my only concern with this position at the moment. If I go queen h6, queen h6 looks very nice, actually. Although queen h6, knight g4. It's not what I want. Queen g5 could be an option. Knight here. Then this is also under attack. Maybe I go queen d3. Nah, but then this is under attack. Maybe I go queen g3. Queen g3. Ah, this sets up some nice things, doesn't it? Queen g3. I'm going to go queen g3. d5 is always on the cards. By the way, lots of interesting things can happen. Do I just, like, completely forget about this? Ah, no, because it comes with check. That's what I just realized. If I drop back to a2, sorry, a2, I mean b1. I meant protecting a2 is what I meant. d5, well, d5, they have this. But then I'm inclined just to literally just sacrifice everything. Knight g5. If knight g5 is played, then we attack the queen. They move their queen. I don't know. They go d7. Then I mean, it's interesting. If I go h5, take. Let's just do it. h5. I mean, it's been an awesome game, this one. It really has been. The way it's transformed from both sides of the board has been very, very cool. So now it would just be the cherry on top if we can win. Which I do hope we can win. It would be brilliant to win this game. Although we only have 1 minute 45 seconds to do so. But my thing here is that it looks cool. Like, it looks cool. It really does. This. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Sack takes. Check. You cannot go here because I have this. Ah, but then you play e5. That's really irritating. If you go here, then it's e5. But do I just sack the rook? No, because you take with the queen. That's annoying. But in the meantime, I could just take. You're probably going to take with the queen, is what I suspect. Then this, it doesn't work though, does it? That's really frustrating. Although now, I'm going to bring this here. It also attacks the knight and the bishop. Wait, it might be a fork. Although, through all the chaos that is going on right now, the last thing I'm concerned with is indeed a fork. I think our queen is relatively protected. They can force a trade with queen f4. Queen f4 does force a trade, I believe. Yes, it does. Do they find it, though, is the question. Queen f4, we trade queens. They take with the rook, and then we... But then we're opening up the position. And then we have d5 coming and mate and all this lovely stuff, which is going to be very, very fun to play. I can tell you that. We're going to take, and then we're going to play d5, and we're going to have an awesome game of chess. And we're not going to stop until we hopefully win, although we've got 38 seconds to win the game. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Pawn takes g6. Well, just, yeah, h takes g6. If they take with the h7 pawn, d5. And the idea now is that because our queen took on d6, now there is no d6 pawn to support e5. Which means that after they take, after d5, e5 is not possible because we will simply capture you. Although, I mean, obviously it is possible. If they want to play it, feel free, but that just gives me a pawn. And now we're... Oh, God, it looks interesting. But also, another really cool thing is, let's say they just want to play, like, I don't know, rook f8. Rook f8, we have this. And if you run away while I promote my queen, rook f8, this, king h8, and they resign, because after this I have this as well, which is just ridiculously beautiful. And we do win the game, a very, very lovely game of chess, which I'm very, very happy we played. Very, very awesome game. Let's quickly check our accuracy. It was probably like, I don't even know. I can't even begin to guess what our accuracy was there. It was an incredible game. Only 26 moves long, though. What was our accuracy? It says 89% was our accuracy, so that's decent. I will definitely take that, and I think that'll be the video for today. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode 6 of our Road to 2200 Rapid series. Feel free to watch this playlist here, which I'm putting on the left side of your screen. It's absolutely brilliant, and see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.